right, good morning. It's Friday. We made it. June 24th, 8:26 in the morning. We got 4 minutes before the open here, so I'm just got to look at some levels right now. Had a pretty bullish day. Had a very bullish day yesterday after we tested some lows, shook out some weak hands. Here is the session yesterday on the 15-minute bar chart. So we came up, thought we were forming a wedge here. We didn't. We failed, but we did a good job of taking profits in and out here. Tried to keep a runner on. It didn't go, so we got out of it. And then it came down here and hung out tight here, and then went ahead and rocketed it up. This one here, there's some levels that, for me, the better trades are ones that take a while to see it set up. So this was a really nice one that I ended up taking just on my phone. I was aware of levels where I thought I would be wrong. I figured if we got down to 37, like 35, that I wouldn't like it anymore. But just looking at on the 5-minute here, how we had some ping pong and back and forth. Remember yesterday it was between 37.60 and 37.80 where we were in a range. So we came down, got pushed out of the 60s and 70s, hung out up here for a while. So my thought in getting long down here later in the day yesterday, just on my phone because I knew the level, was that I'd be wrong around 37. Well, after we put in this low, I figured we'd be long if we got much below this here, around 37.47. But then my thought was if we could get back up into the 37.60s, we might have a chance of like reclaiming some of this territory. And that's what we did. And so it ended, even though the session was, let's look at it. So even though yesterday's session, looking at the daily chart, there's a doji, we ended strong on the day. So yesterday we ended right about where we started, but we came down, got out some weak players, pushed back up, and now we're opening right near the high of the overnight high. We'll be opening right near the overnight high. So that's what's shaking for today. We do have some news coming out at in a half hour. So new home sales, I'm assuming they're for May, the day before the last month. I'm sorry, boy. Lately my internet just hasn't been great here. So hopefully it gets better. Where I know it takes a lot of bandwidth to do some streaming. Let me erase some of these lines. Remove this. All right. So we'll take our time, let the market set up. Here's our 15-minute chart, bigger term. I was talking about this gap yesterday. Maybe today's the day we fill it. Maybe not. We'll wait and see. Here's the 1 minute. And looking at this screen here, I just have the 15-minute overnight session. So this is what it did overnight. Put in a low right around 37.80. High here right at 37 or 38.34. And here's the 5-minute as well. So that's that. I might need to try to restart my stream here. I apologize that it doesn't seem to be going too well. Well, at any rate, I'll try it as we're close to the open. Let's see here. Let it be. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab my tea. We should be opening in just a second here. Okay, there we go. There's our open. So I'm gonna pull my hair back here, but as always, I'll mark the first minute of trade with 2 orange lines. We just call that the opening range. It's important to know where we open. It can tell a story later in the day or earlier in the day. So we're gapping up a pretty considerable amount here. Again, here's our 15 minute. Here's that wick that we put in. Looks like we got close to it. Now we'll bring this in for some context. Whew, I had some spicy Thai last night, so if I leave in front of the screens abruptly, you'll know why. It's either that or the house is on fire. One of the two. Whew. Well, I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Here's my stuff right now. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, so I apologize for that. Test 1 2. So you should be able to hear me okay. All right, so we are up and off. Looking pretty strong here on the open. Let me pan over the daily. We'll look at that again real quick. Show you what I'm looking at there. So here's the daily chart, right? Come down, attempting to fill that gap, this area today. We'll see what happens. If you're a bull, maybe 38.90 is in the picture. That's 50 points higher, but certainly could happen. Something can happen, or anything can happen, and something will happen. Looks like we're right around this spike high on the 15 minute. I'm gonna hit the bathroom and I'll be right back here shortly, so pardon. Okay, great. Morning, Micah. Morning, James P. Yeah, I've gotta step away from the cockpit here. Gotta go take care of some other business, but I'll be right back. That Thai food's talking to me. Okay, I'm back. Thank you, James P. All right. Well, here we are looking at our 15-minute. Let's take a peek at this. So I'm paying a little bit more attention to our 15-minute here and the overnight action that we had. Keeping in mind it is a gap day, we're gapping higher, and we're approaching a gap. So the gap that we're approaching from above should hold more significance than the gap that we're trying to fill just from yesterday. So we've gapped up here, so this is a gap from here to here, where we opened versus where we closed yesterday, or the high of yesterday even. But then we're also contending with this gap. We got another gap up here. So let's sit back, we'll wait and see what the market wants to do, and then place some trades accordingly. Had a bit of a late start this morning. Just up late with the kids last night and took a dog for a later run. I was riding my bike and he's just running beside me. So, trying to settle in here. Oh, that's pretty hot. So, pardon me, I'm going to just mute this for a second, eat a little bit. I'm going to watch this bar, see what we do. I was considering a short if this one got weak, but that hasn't happened. See how bad the Bulls want it. Or we'll see how bad the Bears want to take control. Home sales out at 9 a.m. Central. So another 19 minutes or so. Another, looks like 3 minutes till we get a new 15-minute bar. So I mentioned before the push up, pull back, and then getting long. But usually if I'm considering an opening range retest, I like to see some confluence, maybe a trend line or something else that would give me something to stand on. And I like a little bit more space. This is just, 5 points. So to me, this isn't much price action to come up and then pull back into this level. Usually I'm looking for something like 15 or 20 point move and then a retest and then move some more. All right, so pretty strong on the 15-minute. We've got another 3 minutes, 2 minutes to go. 5 minute, just hanging out. So days where there's a gap, there's always potential for more movement. Doesn't mean it has to be a gap day for more movement, but it certainly can be. Certainly can be. So remind ourselves, and I'll remind myself, that we can and will have a winning performance every day. And I define a winning performance as simply just watching and observing, not feeling like I have to do something. When we don't have the compulsion to feel like I've got to do something, I've got to be active. I'm a trader. Like, I'm a trader. Dang it! Like, I've got to make this happen. Boy, we can put ourselves in a bad spot really fast. Or if we're anticipating too much. So I can and will have a winning performance every day. I define that as watching and observing without emotion. Just sitting back, letting the market show me what it wants to do. Second, not fearing that I'll miss the move. So if there's trades that come along, if you miss one move, there's always going to be something else. It might not be within the next 10 minutes. It might have to be the next day, but there'll be another opportunity. And then thirdly, defining that is also just considering that we want to execute with our stops and our targets in place. That's how I define having a winning performance every day. I can and will have a winning performance every day. All right, so 15 minutes strong here, pushing up. 1 minute hanging out. This is a little interesting to me, this little dude right here. And we are officially in the gap from, looks like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago? Like from June 10th through the 13th. So looks like the 10th would have been a Friday. 13th we gapped way down, got weak, and just sold off. And now we're coming back. We're retracing a bit. We've got, let's see, new home sales. 10, so another 14 minutes away. Looks like this is for, yeah, it's for May. This is for May, this number coming out. Just mute this guy. Consider some other stuff here. Let's see. Oh, what else can we talk about? Let me pull some stuff up. Gmail.com. So yesterday I started the day by talking about how I think it bears repeating. It's been helpful for me to think about. Really with this channel here, I want to focus on the psychology of trading. You know, there's plenty of places in today's day and age where we can go to find how to do technical analysis on stocks, on charts, on futures, on whatever, on options. And that's out there. But there are guys who are psychologists who deal with this and who deal about performance. But I'd really like my live feed to focus on that because truthfully, I really feel like trading is very simple but it's not easy. And I feel like our own worst enemies can often be ourselves. We can get in the way. And so, I want to focus more on the psychological aspect, on being calm and cool, calculated with the moves that we make, knowing where we're right and we're wrong, not fearing that we're going to miss a move, not feeling like we have to have a trigger finger, not even feeling like I don't have to make a trade today. So if there's nothing that I see that gets me interested, then I may not make a trade. Or it may be that there's a lot of things that get me interested and I want to be involved. And so I've made 5 or 6 trades. Yesterday was one of those days where I was in and out quite a bit based on what I saw. Today, just hanging tight. And yes, we're melting up, we're melting higher. And it's always easy in hindsight to say, oh yeah, of course, we're bullish, we're moving up, and we're doing our thing. So, but my daughter came home, it was 2 days ago now, after gymnastics practice, and she said, Dad, it happened today. It happened. At gymnastics, she's talking about where she was able to do something on the uneven bars and go from one bar to the other and do a new type of routine. She's 7, so she's in the early stages of gymnastics. But she just was so excited that it happened. And I thought, man, I wonder, like, what is my it for trading? And I wonder, like, what is your it for trading? And I think I want today to be a day where it happened. Maybe not it doesn't have to be like a momentous thing, but certainly something where, maybe it's the first day that you felt really calm and cool about a trade that you liked, or maybe it's the first time in a long time that you've put a trade on and you took a loss and you took it well. Like, you weren't a sore loser. You weren't having this desire to get back, to get even with what the market did to you. Or maybe you put on a trade and you weren't sure, but you stuck with it. You accepted the risk and you accepted the uncertainty of that trade. You let it play out. You didn't move your stop, and it turned out to be a winner. So there's all kinds of things where we could, define, like, what is your it. But that's encouraging to me when I think about my daughter and her persistence and even her mental toughness at 7, how she's just a go-getter and she's driven. And for her to come home and say, Dad, it happened. It happened today. So maybe your it is just around the corner. What is your it? What is something that you'd like to see happen today? It's good questions to ask ourselves. We also should ask ourselves, what do we need to work on? Like, so trading from yesterday or from last week or whatever, what's something that you need to get better at? For me personally, it is patience. It's patience. I really desire to take less trades, but to take more quality trades. And I've termed myself the no FOMO trader. No one else gave me that name. It was given to me by me. So who knows if it's, we'll have to see. The jury's still out as to if I really am no FOMO. I don't want to have a fear of missing out. And so I thought that would be a great name. But so for me, I need to work on being a bit more patient, letting the market set up. Now, granted, I watch the market only for 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes in the mornings, and then I go off to my job at the nonprofit where I work here in Springfield, Missouri. But even then, it might be that a trade comes around the corner at 11 or after I've left the screens. I need to be okay with that and know that that's just how it is. So for me, it's definitely patience. But then also, you want to ask yourselves and kind of maybe end with this, what did you do well? What are you doing well? Like, what is working for you? Or if it seems like, man, it doesn't seem like anything's really working, you might ask yourselves, well, where have I come from? Consider where you started when you started on this journey. So there was a guy in here, I don't know if he's here today, Jan R. He was talking about how it's so easy to start an account and then, you think you're doing good and then you step back, you lose some money, you have a drawdown and it's frustrating. I think he was alluding to that at least. So you might just, if it seems like not a whole bunch is working, you might ask yourself, well, where did I come from? Let's look at how far I've come in this process, in this journey of becoming a successful and a profitable trader. So something that I did well, it wasn't, it was yesterday, but then certainly the day before, where I had 3 losers in a row, and that was it. I just wasn't reading the market well. On every one of those, losers though they were, I accepted the loss. I wasn't fighting against it. I will admit that I had 2 trades that were no FOMO, but I didn't let it ruin my week as far as like profit. I didn't let it ruin my mind as far as like emotional capital. So I feel like that was managed well. I wasn't a sore loser. I accepted it, moved on, realized that that's just part of trading. And having those stops in place for me is just like having an insurance policy. So if I were, just hypothetically, if the market was here and I thought I saw something and I was thinking about, oh, I'd like to get short here or whatever, and I don't have a stop in place, well, I'm just leaving myself completely exposed to the elements. And if we listen to Mark Douglas, the man, the psychological master when it comes to trading, he'll tell us that anything can happen and something will happen. So I've got to stop in place because it's my insurance. It's the thing that protects against me blowing up my account or having a really big drawdown. And typically for me in the past, when big drawdowns have come, that's when I can go on tilt. I can feel like I've got to make this back. I like the aggressiveness gets bumped into like hyper aggressive mode, and that isn't healthy. My thoughts for the day. All right, 5 minutes until we've got our news coming out. It is a slow and steady melt up. No reason for me to do anything right here. If you've got long earlier, congratulations, well done. You're looking good. Looking good. Let's look at another time frame. Here's our 5 minute on the right. Here's our 15 with the gray areas, the overnight session. So the futures trade almost all day. They take a little break right around, I think, 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that, Central Time, right around 4. Then they resume and they go all night long for all the investors overseas who need to hedge their portfolios. They use futures. So we're just up and away, just off today. I'm going to pull up the NASDAQ just quickly. NASDAQ looks much stronger. So it's filled its gap from below. Let's drag in the daily on the NASDAQ. So it's filled this gap, and now it's strong. It's also let me get rid of this. It's kind of ugly. Oops. Oh. Remove. There we go. It's gapped higher, hanging out here, and we'll see. We'll see what it does. To be determined. All right, let's get back to the E-mini. Oh, let me get rid of this line. Remove that. There we go. All right, so we are filling in that area. I was looking for that yesterday, but it didn't happen. Like I said, we flushed out some of the longs, some of the weak hands, and then had a strong rally in the afternoon, gapped up, and we're just kind of a gap and go higher today, at least for now. Here's our 1 minute, so we're just steadily moving up. Yeah, bulls, 3890s, could see that. $3,900 even, perhaps. We'll want to consider tempo too. Tempo is always something that we've got to be mindful of. Different days have different tempos. Let's think about yesterday. I mean, the market was so, not sporadic, but just really whipping back and forth a lot early on in the day. Today, not so much. We're just steadily pushing higher, at least for the time being. It looks like one more minute until May. Existing home sales. See where we land with it. I could care less what the number is. I'm just watching the chart, watching the price action to see. I guess I suppose if it's some crazy number, like way off of what analysts expect, it'll be seen in the market quickly. So, all right, if you're in a trade, you got 30 seconds until we get news that could move the market a significant amount, or news that may not, but it has potential to. So just be mindful of that. Big pop higher here. I was just looking at it, just looking at the overnight, thinking, looking how strong it is here, thinking, boy, there's huge support at 30, and was thinking if we get some kind of a pullback, I'd like to try to get long, but we are almost 20 points higher from just about a minute and a half ago, so train might have left the station, boys and girls. But yeah, I think that's a pretty strong, and yeah, maybe, perhaps that move up to, what was it, 45, and then the opening range retest. Could have been a really nice long trade. Figuring you'd be wrong against like the low of the day, I think, because there was just, market spent just a lot of time here, just hanging out, pushing higher, trying to fill this gap, and the action I was looking for yesterday, looks like we're getting it today. As far as a big move higher, I would imagine the NASDAQ is screaming right now as well. Very big 5-minute bar. So we've moved 20 points on it in the last, it looks like minute and a half. So very bullish. Anyone take any trades yet? Wow, extremely bullish 15-minute here. Very much so with the 5-minute. right, I know I mentioned 3890s earlier. We are getting close. This may not look like a big move here. It's probably because we had a 40-point gap higher. So we're covering a lot of ground on this, but in context, that's a really big rip right there. Just gonna look at the NASDAQ again. So here's NASDAQ on the daily. We got the open here and then the high of the day. We're approaching that. Wondering if we come up here, pause a bit. Who knows, we might fill that gap a bit, but just mindful of that, seeing if we get a bit of a retracement on the S&P. Again, I don't use fibs much, Fibonacci retracement, but I do like to know where halfback is. So it's something that I just want to, usually be aware of that level. So halfback in this case looks like 60 or 58. It's right where we just broke above this and just rocketed higher. And looks like that we're going to shoot for new highs here. All right, let's see if we get up into the 90s. So let's see if anyone's taken any trades. Let's see. Oh, absolutely, tech. Yeah. Tech T, that 1 minute candle took all the short stops. Absolutely. So, as I mentioned before, there's times where I'll place a trade slightly before news comes out. I will be looking for the trade to go in my favor, take some profit, maybe move my stop up. In this example, there really wasn't in this instance, there wasn't a great example of that. But what Tech T111 is saying, like, for the guys who were trying to be cute, there's nothing wrong with that. Try to get short here. Maybe you took a little profit down here, and then you've got your stop right above this level, thinking that if we've got horrible news, it comes down and just jams them and, goes lower. In this instance, it looks like all the stops were right here, and so the news was whatever, and it just took the elevator up, blew out those stops. But it's a very strong market as of right now. So we've just got a bunch of just thrusts up, and then a retrace, push up, retrace, push up, retrace, push up, hanging out, looking strong even here, not even giving us a retracement yet. Looks like it wants to go for the 90s up in here. So we shall see. So again, going back to tempo, how the tempo of every day is different, and even throughout the day, the tempo can change. Tempo can be slow in the morning and then speed up, where the market starts moving faster as we get to levels that are more critical, levels that bring in all different kind of time frame traders. Let's see. So I don't look a whole bunch at volume, but usually it's kind of cool to see volume spike here if we get another dramatic, like, big push up. So we'll see if the volume comes in on the bottom. increasing a bit. So volume's increasing a bit as we push higher. All right. Yeah, 38.90 to about, gosh, we got some. All right, so here we are. It's something, isn't it? Like, even when we were down here at 40, you're looking at this level, and I know I mentioned that if we're bullish and strong, we could broach 38.90, and you think, man, that's 50 points away. That's a pretty far ways away. And I'm not saying, I'm not like, because we could have been 50 points lower and filled the gap. Just saying that there's times where you take a trade and you think, oh, well, I don't know if we'll make it that high, and here what we're 40 minutes into the day, and even like about 35 minutes from here, and we're 50 points higher. So good move by the bulls. In control. Another bite of this here. Well, I apologize for the long delay. Oh man, this is really delayed. Well, hopefully the delay isn't that great. All right, it's telling me I've got an excellent connection now. So, all right, Micah, where do you consider the gap above filled? Well, this gap, I guess technically, let's look at the low here. I can't see it. We're close to it. And I'm not someone I don't look at like stuff by the tick, but let's see. So it looks like 38.96 half was the low here on this day. We got all this gap stuff going on here. So 38.96 would officially fill that gap. So we're at 38.88, another 8 points higher than that, and we'd be there. So another way I like to think about the market is that I think I read in a book somewhere a trader mentioned how the market's just like a big loaf of bread. And as a trader, it's your job just to regularly take out some crumbs relative to that big loaf. So we've got hundreds of millions of dollars worth of notional value being traded on this instrument that we're watching right now. And if you can pull out a few thousand or a few hundred or a few 10,000 in whatever course of time, for some people who know what they're doing, it's in a matter of minutes. Others, it might be weeks, months, years, decades, who knows. But just like the market's here for you to take opportunity, take advantage of the movements that it makes, and to act accordingly. So I was like remembering that. I think, oh, that's pretty cool. I think it's good too when you're watching the markets to have some boundaries in place, have some discipline regarding times, because for the traders who are aspiring to do well and increase their performance, and I'm one of them, it can be tempting to think, I need to be in front of this thing all the time. Any time the market's open during regular trading hours, I need to be in front of the screens because I don't want to miss an opportunity. And that's simply just not true. Again, going back to a story that Mark Douglas shares, he talks about a guy who's just a phenomenal floor trader in Chicago. I guess they said about this guy that he, like when you were watching him, when he was in the zone, like making trades on the floor, which I think would have been so neat to see, they said he was like Michael Jordan. And it was like in the early 90s as well, so pretty cool. They're like, he was like the Michael Jordan, I think it was bonds, like the Michael Jordan of like bond trading. He was really a sight to see. Well, I guess this guy got into a pretty big slump, just couldn't get out of his own way, started losing a lot of money, just was trading poorly, and just started over trading. He was there all the time, burning himself out. Got together with Mark. Mark helped him get back in line and tells him, okay, here's the deal. I want you to pick 1 hour during the day, any hour that you want, but 1 hour. You get 1 hour to trade, and that's it. And he said the guy, I think at first gave him some resistance and said like, hey, like what the heck, man? Like I gotta be out here doing my thing. And he said, no, you've got to be sharp and attentive. You got to be in a place where you can't burn out. So I want you to take 1 hour a day, trade well, trade with discipline in place and rules and stops and targets. And I think that'll help you. And so as Mark Douglas tells the story, he said that it was extremely beneficial to the trader. He gets out of the slump. He goes on to increase his performance and continue to be the Michael Jordan of bond trading, like he was destined to be. But I think the takeaway there is that sometimes with some things in life, and for me, I know it's true with trading, that less is more. This morning I mentioned how I'd like to do better at taking less trades, but taking ones that are just more quality, ones that I have a much stronger conviction about. And usually for me, that's ones that take quite a bit more long to set up. So it might be that I have to start to have a thesis, a hypothesis of what I think might happen. And then within a course of a half hour or maybe even an hour, I see that come to play. And then after I see it happening, I've got usually a few minutes, maybe it might be 5 to 10 minutes, it might be a minute or two to decide how I want to engage, how I want to express the idea that I have and put money behind it. So less is more for me, at least. It's a small piece of the pie. Well, yeah, when you consider that the pie is literally trillions of dollars, for you to take one millionth of that, you would probably be set for the rest of your life. So yeah, relative to the overall size of the pie, I just want to pick up some crumbs, and I want to remind myself that the market is here for me. Like I'm not here for the market, and I think that gets back to over trading or feeling like you always have to be in front of the screens or always have to be involved. If I want to take a day out, because I feel like if I were at the point where I made all the money that I could ever make doing trading, I really enjoy this. I love it. I find it fascinating. It's interesting. I love how it's dynamic, how it's always changing. It's always challenging you to become really more in control of yourself. But I think if I were to point where I had made whatever, a lot of money or whatever my number is trading, if there were mornings where my wife wanted to go out to coffee or breakfast, or I wanted to, you know, pull the kids out or whatever they're doing and just hang out with them for the day, I would. I certainly would. I would do that. So it's a good reminder for right now, even though I haven't made all the money that I want to make in trading, there's still more money to be made. I want to act in a way where the market doesn't own me. Where if I want to get together with some buddies on a Thursday morning, which we do every other Thursday or Thursday afternoon, that I can do that. I'm free to do that because the market is here for me, is how I want to look at it. So I think that's a helpful mindset as well. So you're welcome. You get what you pay for. There it is, the bill's in the mail, I suppose. But again, I want to, like I said earlier, with this live YouTube feed, I want to focus on the psychology of trading. I want to focus on being mindful of ourselves. All right, let's see if we're stalling here or if we continue to jam it up and push higher. That doesn't really mean much. Shorter the time frame, the less it means. So if you're long here, you could be long, probably against this this level right here. I'm not saying that's something I'm doing. I'm just, you know. Let's look at the 5 minute. Here's our 5 right here. So we've come up, pull back up, pull back up. Kind of putting in a wedge here. Seems like we could go higher. Try to officially hit that gap fill. Here's our 15 minute, right? Just up, up, up. This is where news came out, right around 38.60. We find ourselves 28 points higher now. Quite a big move on the news there. Yeah, that's right, Micah. I like it. I wonder where. Okay, so looking at the 5 minute, looks like we kind of just consolidated there, and then so this is a nice kind of bullish flag right here, or has the potential to be. See if we push up. You know what, I'll leave this up. Let me look at, and pull up NASDAQ, Mr. NASDAQ real quick. Okay, so NASDAQ is up to, here's our overnight session. This is the 15 minute on the left, 5 minute on the right. This is NASDAQ. Let's look at the daily. Here's the daily. So coming to a significant level here, significant area. Who knows, maybe so NASDAQ filled its gap here today, left a gap down here, kind of cool. And then who knows, maybe it goes hunting for this higher level up here. So I'm gonna put a line right there. I think that's an interesting area. As we get close to that, either a little bit below it or above it, if we get up there, I'll be looking for some kind of activity. I'll make that one yellow, kind of let it stick out. And I'll make an alert right there. Create an alert, add our above. All right. Create, what's my line here? 54.26. All right, I like that. You know, it seems oftentimes too that your best trades, a lot of times they can be like your easier trades, where it's just It's just easy. It makes sense to you. It's setting up well. I know I mentioned that book. Okay, so we're pushing higher with winning in mind about the gold medalist who also helps athletes with performance coaching and mindset and all that stuff. He's the one who talks about focusing on the process well, not so much the outcome, reminding us that if you follow the process, the outcome will follow that you're desiring. But he talks about people who perform at a high caliber, at a high level, how oftentimes they're really, truly, their best performances when they're just in the zone, when everything just sinks and they're just locked in, how oftentimes it's just easy. Just an easier performance for them. There's not a lot of strife and struggle. It just flows. I think the same could be said when you're just on for the day, when you're having a good day trading, when you're reading the market well. So 5 minute, let's see. 88 now could give us a little bit of grief from above. Still no reason I'm not getting involved right here. So here we've got 88. Trying to curl up, put in its higher high here. Maybe we take a little break, maybe we pull back a bit, maybe we don't, maybe we go higher, maybe we pull back a lot. We'll just have to wait and see. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm shooting for higher quality trades. I'd rather be involved less, but have trades that I really have a strong feeling about, strong conviction, versus being in and out and in and out and in and out, trying to make something happen. Pardon me, I'm just going to switch back over to NASDAQ, see if there's any significant levels that I like. Sorry that the it's so blown up here. All right, so it looks like NASDAQ came up to that level, which was the top of its move the other day. Selling off a little bit now. Gonna put another line in here. All right, so that's our half back on NASDAQ. I feel like you could try to do something there. Perhaps you'd be wrong below this number right here. Go back to ES. Here we are. So it's just bouncing back and forth here a little bit between the NASDAQ and the S&P. Seeing where NASDAQ would have to pull back in order for me to do business and get long on the E-mini S&P 500. Here's our 15 minute on the left. Here's our 1 minute on the right. We've got our opening range. This is just marking the high and the low during the first minute of trade. So really, there's 4 levels that are quite important. You want to know where you opened at, like yesterday. You want to know yesterday's open, yesterday's close, high, low. You also want to know the overnight high and low. Those are important levels. I mentioned that I worked with let me see this level now. This is getting interesting. Well, not that interesting, but I'll continue my thought here in a minute. Let's see what we do here on the 5-minute chart. See if we hold, if we push higher or what. So let's say 80 to 88. I feel like there's some significance at 88. We've spent a little bit of time in here now. So I'm going to put a mark right there, and then one here as well. Not looking to do anything right here just yet. But I just want to be mindful of those areas. And again, like I mentioned earlier, if I don't see anything today worth doing for my trading style, I'm totally fine with sitting on my hands. Yesterday I was very active, in and out quite a bit. It worked out well. I was pretty aggressive, probably a little too aggressive, but had a good feel and a read for where the market was going, what it was doing, where it would have to go for me to be wrong, where it would have to go for me to be right. Today we're obviously bullish. It's going higher. I'm not looking to fight City Hall and try to pick the top of a move. I'm going to sit back and wait. So again, we got to remind ourselves that at times sitting on your hands, it really will be like putting money in the bank. Wait for something you really like. There was something else I was going to talk about, but I can't remember. Man, I'd like to figure out, it'd be cool not to have too much noise, but I think it'd be cool to be able to hear your guys' thoughts as well. I know it's kind of sucky where I'm just like, just diarrhea of the mouth, and you guys gotta type stuff in. So, sorry I can be a bit long-winded. But yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. How long you've been trading, where you're at, how long you've been aspiring to be a trader, and what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what time frame you like to use, setups that you like, goals that you have, things you're doing well, all that stuff. All right, let's see if we push through 80. So this is the 1 minute, this chart here. I watch this one more for nuance. It's really the 15 and the 5 that I'm paying more attention to. So the only charts I watch are just the daily for an overall 30,000 foot view, 15 minute, which is here, 5 minute, and the 1 minute. I'll also look to NASDAQ when we're getting to areas of importance. So if we do pull back and get down to half back today, which would be like 3860, I'll take a peek over at NASDAQ, see where it's at. If it's at half back as well, and if we're close to something like VWAP, volume weighted average price, more than likely I'll pull the trigger on that thing and make something happen. And I'll know where I'm wrong as well. So we're filling the gap we put in about 2 weeks ago. We've also gapped up from yesterday. Could be that we just drift higher and hang out here the rest of the day. Could be that we push another 50 points higher. We could end 50 points lower. Anything can happen, and something will happen. To be determined, Micah. So Micah got long, he said, at 82 to see if the C period, if you're familiar with market profile, see if the C period will break above and we continue the the push higher. We certainly are bullish. There's no reason yet for me to be short, so I think your trade's got potential there, Micah. So here we are, just up, 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 up. Here's our 15-minute. We've got a new 15-minute bar here, so we've got another like 10 minutes until we put in a new 15-minute bar. So we'll see what this guy looks like. And I'm not waiting. I mean, when I take trades, I'm not always waiting for a 15-minute bar. There's times where it's just more gut feel and I get involved. But just good to be mindful of. It's easy for me to have a level that I like, to find it, to do business there. But oftentimes, even at that level, I find myself getting in a little too early, being a little premature, instead of waiting for a little bit more confirmation. So I have some things written down, and one is talking about like developing your thesis. So what do you think could happen? And then letting the market prove or disprove it. I think, boy, that's neat to have the patience and just the wherewithal, the self-control to say, all right, this is what I'm thinking. Now let's let the market prove it. Let it show it to me that this is what it is in fact going to do. And then from there, it's probably like just catching a good wave, just getting on that thing and letting it take you where you need to go. As I mentioned before, I made this channel originally just for me to watch playback of doing trades, seeing what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, just how an athlete would look at tape of them performing. I want to do the same. I am doing the same. And then, people started joining it, and I think, oh, that's kind of cool to have a little group of people who are into the same thing. Maybe we could help each other out and benefit from one another. Share what we think, what we're seeing, things like that. But I think even maybe consciously or subconsciously here lately, because there are a few people watching from day to day, I've thought like, well, I need to perform, I need to be doing something. And as I stated earlier, I just want it to be my practice that I take trades that are more well defined, take less, but take more quality, and exercise and practice patience. Out for a tick. All right. So I would think if the Bulls want to keep this thing, they'd probably want to keep it above 76 here. Like, again, this is micro. This is like short time frame. But if they do push up, probably want to see it hold here. But it's such a strong day that I would think the Bulls, to keep it strong, like any kind of pullback, they're looking to get involved and just buy it up, buy it, get it to move higher. Mindful though that we did come up to some resistance on the NASDAQ. So with that said, again, anything can happen and something will happen. So we could find ourselves literally 20 points higher in the next 2 minutes or 20 points lower. We just don't know. But if we're looking at odds and probabilities and considering the Emini S&P and the NASDAQ, how they move together, it's not surprising that the NASDAQ pulled up a little bit as it was coming up to some resistance. Huge IB, yeah. Huge. Huge initial balance, says Micah. Oh boy. So if you're just tuning in, I don't mean to bore you. I haven't taken a single trade yet. Yesterday, by this time, I think I'd taken, I don't know, gosh, a half hour in, I was probably 7, 8 trades. Um, Worked out well. Was seeing a lot of places to do business today. Trying to be patient. I worked with a professional trader last year, and he would often remind me, and he would say, I really want to hold my trades longer. He's traded for over 20 years, almost 25 years. And he'd say, boy, my average trade, hold time is about 5.5 minutes. But I want to increase that number. I want to get better at letting trades run. And he was a great one to remind me, hey, to be an effective trader, you don't have to be in or out all the time. It's okay to sit and be patient. And looking at him, how we'd watch in the morning for 2.5 hours, and then we'd watch in the afternoon for the last 2 hours, usually hour and a half, which to me, afternoons, they don't make much sense to me most of the time. And it might be during all that time that he was in a trade. I think his average time in, during all of that, if he had 4 or 5 trades in a day, he might be involved for a total of 15 minutes. Might be a half hour. Some days he might be involved for a total of 5 minutes. So he, just helped me realize that to be successful and to do good at this, that you don't have to be in the market all the time. You don't have to fear missing a move. How you can be long, right? You can be a buyer, you can be short, you can be a seller, or you can just be flat, just sitting on your hands and waiting. All right, so we're pulling back. The question is now in my mind, how far do we pull back to? What's our area? What's our level? Let's see where halfback is here. And, maybe we don't even get close to halfback. I don't know. Maybe we do, and it's a rock and trade. All right. Let me pull up NASDAQ now. Again, let's see where its halfback level is. Okay, I can dig it. Dig that. Let me move this a bit. All right, let me get rid of all this stuff. Just kind of setting some levels here. And maybe this is all we get. Let's see if we reclaim this area, get back up in here, and then resume the trend higher. I'm not going to talk too much yet regarding a setup. We'd still have a long way to get there. All right, we got a new, looks like a new 5-minute bar. So area of contention, we came down under 80. This is, bulls want to get it above this. Bears want to keep it below. Such a strong bullish market. I'm wondering if we go much lower. But we'll see. That was just such a big spike up from 38.60. Just bam, like just plowed through it. I don't know if the bulls let it come down that far. So we'll see. We'll give it a little time. Give it a little time. It might be that a setup doesn't come along. That's all right. I'd rather take one that I feel good about than just be in there willy-nilly. Let's see. So I suppose you could try getting long here with the stop just below this area and see if we reclaim this in here. See if we reclaim that. Or, you could put it a little bit below this level. Anyone curious to know if you've taken any trades? I think that Mike, you were involved quickly, didn't like it, got out. It's good. Anyone else see anything they like? What's shaking? What's setting up for you? And if not, that's fine, no problem. Bulls trying to reclaim this now. Remember, Bulls want it above this 80 level, Bears want it below. Seems like the Bulls are doing a good job. So, pretty shallow pullback. It feels like we could then, as bullish as today's been, wouldn't be surprised if we push higher. And just keep moving along. I don't know how quickly we do that if we do, but at 76. You know, Micah, almost all the time when I do a trade, I'm just in at the market versus a limit order. But it's usually because it's just the style that I do. If I see something setting up and I like it, I'll get involved. Kind of a little bit more risky yesterday with all the movement back and forth that we had. But no suggestions on that. Maybe someone else might have a suggestion. Tried at 76, but no fill. Every day is different, isn't it? Every day. Every day is different. All right. Nothing to get too excited about, but a little bit more back and forth. I used to watch the guys on Tasty Trade quite a bit. Tom and Tony, they're super funny. And I've got a mentor. He does options trading, so I also do some options trading. For me, really, the short-term futures is the final frontier. So it's no problem for me to take losses on an options trade or even stock trades that I hold, where my time frame with that is usually weeks to even months. And I'll sell some premium, so I'll sell puts. Like right now, I'm selling puts in FedEx and Starbucks. They're just way down on their butts, and some in XLK, some of the technology sectors. But for me, the final frontier is doing the short-term day trading, where I'm in and out holding stuff for 15 minutes or a half hour or whatever, like what we're doing right here. But I'd watch Tom and Tony and learned a little bit about options trading there. But they're funny, man, how they just razz each other. There'd be a day where like Tom's getting short, Tom's short and they never show the prices or the size or anything like that. They're just talking stuff through, and Tom's like, yeah, I got short today at 38.60 and blew me out of the water or whatever. And I'm sure he's a very disciplined trader because he is super successful in what he does. But Tony will kind of razz him, another like former, I think, Chicago floor trader, say, man, if you liked it short at 38.60, you'll love it short, up here at 38.80. Like, just add more, just get in, get short, and then only to have the market, just continue to push higher for the rest of the day. But I just found a little comic relief in that. Like, man, if you like it here, you'll love it at another price I got to offer you. Kind of like an infomercial, like, but wait, there's more. Like, I got more for you. If you wanted to buy it, at bargain basement prices, just give it another hour or two and it'll be even lower. And who knows, maybe an hour after that, it'll be even lower still. So, Bulls holding 80, had a quick little kind of push down. We'll see what they do here. For me, this is kind of like micro level. It's nothing that I'm involved with just yet. We've come up now. We've been hanging here for, looks like the last hour. We've been just doing our thing here. would imagine where so big volume here to push this up, really big volume, and then just lower, hanging out. This is the 5-minute chart. Here's the 15. So yeah, strong trend days, but they tend to have tighter pullbacks. Pardon me. Well, not much for me to explain right now. I mean, the market's just doing its thing. Sorry, that's probably loud in the microphone. So, good news, I'm working on getting it's a pretty nice mic. It's this guy right here. My wife has used it for podcasts and all that stuff that she did a while back. But I'm working with a graphics guy to have a little intro to the day, and then also working with, I'm looking at playback here, also gonna get a mic that's a bit better. So test should be later. Can you guys hear me? All right, holding 80. Let's see if we reclaim and push higher. Could be just a little bit of the break that the bulls needed, and now we continue higher. Thanks, James P. Yeah, quite the delay. I'm waiting on just the local internet companies to get me out of the 90s. Waiting for fiber optic cable. Once I get that, boy, look out. Look out. It's gonna be like I'm sitting in your office trading with you. Not really. Watch out. All right, feels like we just resumed trend higher. Bulls reclaim this area. Certainly feels like they'll try to go ahead and test for a higher area. Looking at our 15-minute, kind of a small pullback, resumption of trend. Yeah, I need some better audio quality, that's for sure. I got the AC, I'm on the 3rd floor at my house here, and I got the AC going, and whenever that thing kicks on, I know I've listened to playback, and it's like I'm running a freaking sawmill behind me. or like, God forbid, I want to do a little, we also got another laundry unit up here on this portion of the house, and it's like, God forbid, I want to dry some clothes or wash some clothes. Just the hum that it gives off, it's like, like a freaking Pinzer tank is rolling behind me, storming the gates. Alrighty. Let's see what we got. I would not consider myself an artistic person. However, there are some artistic qualities I think about being a good trader. There's no regarding analyzing market activity and movement, there's no hard and fast rules. There's hard and fast rules regarding your stops and your targets and all that, but no hard and fast rules about best ways to do it. One trader might be profitable looking at tons of indicators on his chart. Another guy can be profitable looking at very basic chart setup, just price action, or market profile, or the dome, whatever. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's take another look at the 5-minute. So again, on the long term, we're, at least for now, we're pretty much like hanging tough. That NASDAQ, it came up to its resistance, sold off a bit, but it might be that the bulls just want to push it higher. Let's see if let me get rid of that. Get rid of this here on the NASDAQ. Remove that. So NASDAQ's come down, not as high now. Definitely not as high. Sold off a bit harder. It was just closer to resistance, but maybe that was the pullback that it needed to go ahead and resume the trend. Not going to read too much into that as far as exact levels on NASDAQ. Just thinking out loud, something to be mindful of. If you're looking for action, go back to yesterday's live feed that I did. Tons of action, tons of trades, good activity. If you're looking for a snooze fest regarding action and trading, you've come to the right place. I haven't placed a single trade today. I've had some ideas and a hypothesis about the day, some thesis is, but for the style that I do, just nothing that I saw where there was like great risk to reward. So here we are. It's 10:02. I'm going to be wrapping up here pretty soon. I watch the markets for the first 2 hours of the day. Then I'm done. Today's been quite uneventful so far. I'll be right back. Best snooze fest on YouTube, says Gold Fever Prospecting. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's great. 15-minute, looking pretty bullish. So bulls, as I mentioned, wanted to keep it above 80, which they seem to have done that. And then we're kind of got the middle of the range where you got another area contention around 83 or 84. Let's see now if they go ahead and push this thing higher and then continue to make a move higher. If they do, I would imagine that NASDAQ goes ahead and kind of follows suit, continues to push up higher, retest its highs. So ES is very close to breaking new highs. NASDAQ is lagging behind a little bit, but not much. So let me get some water. I'll be right back. Thanks, James P. All right, y'all. Oh, it's a little bigger than I thought, that move. Well, guys, again, if you're looking for action, today for me isn't a day just filled with action. Might be that we get something later in the day. I'll be done here in front of the chart, so another half hour, as is my usual routine, to just watch the first 2 hours and that's it. So anything can happen, something will happen. You can hear me now, right? It's the last time I'll ask, I promise. All right. Sorry I don't do sign language. That would solve a problem, huh? Just doing sign language. What is it, like sell? Sell. I think on the floor this would be sell. This would be buy. Yeah, that's all I'd have to do, right? If I knew like the signals from the floor from back in the day, like one of these, you know, all that stuff, almost like you're doing baseball signs. Sell, 500. Like that's what I'm doing. I don't need sound. So again, if you're looking for action, today hasn't been the day for me, just for my style of trading. Yesterday, a lot of involvement, a lot of movement, a lot of good trades. A little hairy there, a little dicey at times, even just within the first hour of the trading day. But worked out well. Today, haven't taken a single one. There's just nothing that I've seen that gets me that excited. We're up here, filling the gap. Yeah, would be best. Ben Ryan Black, how's it going, man? Good to see you. So yeah, that's just how it is. Different, very different tempo today versus yesterday, which that's how the market is. It's dynamic. It keeps you guessing. There's players from all around the world making trades based on all different reasons and time frames and opinions and hedging for different reasons. So that's what makes a market, right? Someone likes it long here, another likes it short. You've got a market because you can't be selling unless there's a buyer and vice versa. All right, so bulls still just trying to keep it strong and push higher. So let's see, maybe we've got our C period then is pretty tight, right? Is it Micah? You're watching the market profile. So C is tight. Looks like it came down to here a little bit and then ended with the high. Let's see, 30. Yeah, so C period, not a big range for C. And then D, do we stay in there? Well, D would have pushed above a little bit. So, yeah, perhaps we've come up and the market profile is more like a P where we've pushed up. This was undervalued here. The bulls thought it was a bargain here, so they bought it, ran it up. Perhaps on market profile now we just spend a lot of time, in this upper zone, upper probably third of that range. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that's a possibility of something that could take place and happen for the day. So even if I find myself in a position where I want to get short, I would be mindful of that we've had a big push up. If I'm short, I might not be looking for a huge move downward. Looking for the IB to hold. Mica 88, it's a good level. IB, we'll see. I appreciate you guys too, sharing your trades. It takes some balls to say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is my level, and I appreciate that. That's cool. Don't feel like you have to. You're welcome to do your trades on your own, and if I'm messing up your style, turn me off, go to some other channel, or mute me, or whatever, because it's no fun when you've got a strong conviction. There's someone else who has a different conviction and you're kind of conflicted and you've got analysis paralysis. That's no fun. Let's see here, Micah. You want to keep it probably below 90. Seeing if that initial balance holds. Shorting at 88, Micah said. So, I personally haven't taken any trades today. I'm thinking about also doing like a Discord channel as well. I don't know if you can do them concurrently, but there's a young man I know who really knows his way around Discord. He's like a master at it. Young man, I said, like he's at college. He just graduated college and he's working for a firm. I kind of thought so, Tech. Anyways, I'm considering like a Discord channel as well. I think the lag would be a lot less, and might be able to open up some other mics, which could be fun. I thought even about something so this could be interesting, right? Like where, I read a great book by literally the best hedge fund manager in the world, Ray Dalio. He's been dubbed the Steve Jobs of hedge fund management. Just incredible. He's got a great book that I've listened to. It's called Life and Work Principles. And I don't know if reading it would be fun, but listening to it just like while I'm running or biking or stuff like that, I found it really enjoyable. But Dalio talks about how people within his firm, he's like, so first I had to get good at trading. That's a job in and of itself. Then once we grew, I had to get good at managing a whole company. So it's like he had two jobs. So what he did within his company was he essentially made things that were like baseball cards for every single employee. And they would be judged and graded on their abilities, on their performance, and not in a critical way, but in a way where those people were functioning in their wheelhouses, where they were functioning within parameters of where their strengths were. They weren't trying to take someone who sucked at this kind of trading and have them do this kind of trading. They kept them in their lane. They stayed in their lane, if you want to say it that way. So I've thought, boy, it could be kind of neat where if we had a Discord channel where I could hear some other traders, their thoughts or what they're thinking, if we typed in our trades and where they were typed in our target and our stop loss, and then we could have grades even to say like, hey, like this guy, he trades really well. Like 70% of his trades are winners, or he's got a 2-to-1 ratio or whatever. If you say, well, this guy, he's a newbie, he's starting out. You might not want to give as much weight to the trades that he's taking as far as leaning against anything. Not saying I'm going to do that. Just thought, oh, that could be kind of a neat idea where there's like a cohort of traders, and to think like, oh, okay, like, and especially too when there's like confluence, when there's a short that I take and I'm only looking at this, I'm only really looking at the daily, the 5, the 15, and the 1 minute, and I'm getting involved at a certain level because I like it for whatever reason. And there's another guy who is watching market profile and says, oh, I'm getting short at that same level, but he's got a different reason. I think, oh, there could be some strength in numbers and some power in doing that, some efficacy to it. So just thinking out loud, just a thought. Hey, Micah, nice short there. Well done. Yeah, I'd really like to, because as Tech T111 mentioned that it's doing this. There's no one here but me. It's just me, and a lot of times in the past, I'd really get inside of my own head. We've all been there, right? Where you're taking a trade, it's not working. You start seeing like a mirage, and you have some kind of weird reason that you've decided that you have to take on the market and take vengeance and, get back money that you've lost or whatever. So to have a community of people where we keep each other a little bit more objective, keep each other in check and in balance, and two, stick our necks out there. Like, Micah, I appreciate you like taking that short at 38.80, saying, hey, this is my position, this is what I'm thinking. Good on you, man. Well done. That's awesome. So yeah, I think there's strength in numbers and strength in community. So again, just kind of thinking out loud about some potential and some possibilities. So we'll see what develops. But first things first, I'm going to get some video, like intro video made for this channel, then get some proper sound equipment, microphone. We'll start from there. How about that? Yeah, Ben Ryan Black, both your comments. Trading is a lonely business. It's nice to have a wing person occasionally. And that too, Discord, it is so freaking noisy. It's like, geez, it's so annoying where you've got like constant pings going off, and yeah, so that's something to be mindful as well. Maybe once I get the fiber optic cable that I've been waiting on for a while, I'll just have a faster YouTube time with less lag. All right, let's see if bulls reclaim it here. Come down to there. I would imagine that Micah, I would think that he probably, at least if he's not all out, that he scaled some out right here around 80. For that short he took up at 88. Again, great trade, Micah. Well done. Had a thesis, had a hypothesis. He went with it, and it paid off. So that's awesome, dude. Good job. Or maybe Micah's hypothesis is that we go another 10 points lower. I'm holding on to this thing. I haven't scaled out. That's fantastic too, man. You do you. You do you. Yeah, so this guy that I'm talking to about the Discord, he'll let me know all that stuff. Like, it's not just its functionality, but how do we lessen the amount of annoyance that that it brings? Well, sorry for the background noise again. That's just the air kicking on up here on the third floor. Gets a little warm up here during the summertime, so the AC's got to put in some extra work. Well, boys and girls, I've got another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to wrap this thing up. Going to go do a little bit of work, and look forward to having a great weekend. We got some friends in from Calcutta, India. They're neat. I'm excited to see them. And then we got some other friends who are internationals. They're from UAE, Mohammed and Manar. They live right in our neighborhood. They're going to be coming over. We got a festival on our street today. We're right off of Walnut Street in Springfield. Love living here. It's just fantastic. Super neighborly. I've got my tomatoes out front, which I've got a grievance to air. Sorry, I'm not talking about trading right now. I just personally, I don't see anything that's got me excited, risk to reward, or anything that I want to get involved with. So we're on the tomatoes in my neighborhood. Pardon me. But we've got our tomato planters that we put out front. I've got 16 feet of just cherry tomatoes, like growing up, a little trellis that I made for them. We got a sign that we made that says, you deserve a tomato, and then help yourselves. My kids helped me make it. Super cute, really nice. And somebody, because we're in a historical district, we got a house that's built in 1915, super cool house. We restored all of it, redid it. It's awesome. But had one of somebody, I think I know who it is. I think it's my architect neighbor in the area, calls it in and complains about the sign. It's like this cute little sign that my kids make. So the city calls me yesterday and is like, hey, your sign isn't in compliance with our code. Like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. So we'll get a new sign or something, but whatever the fine is, I really want to just, I'll pay the fine just to keep the sign up. I don't want to be a rude neighbor. I want to be considerate, but it's something. And so I thought I'd put a post on Facebook and said, hey, honestly, because we got a neighborhood post, there's 1,000 people in the group, and said, hey, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm not looking for affirmation. If this is a dick move to do by putting this sign up, if it bothers you, let me know. I want to know what my neighbors think. And overwhelmingly, really within the first hour, we had 40 responses and replies, all of which were like, man, we love it. That's why we love this neighborhood, and we look forward to having the tomatoes, and this is a great idea. So just a little frustrating, because here's the irony. Because the nonprofit that I work for, I'm the director of housing. So it's in a very low income area in Springfield. We work with a lot of underprivileged people, single moms, recovering addicts, to help them get back on their feet. It's like people who know that they need to better their situation. They just need help getting there. And myself, as a recipient of government assistance in the early 90s in the Chicago area, I can appreciate that. It did my family, my mom, a world of good, raising 4 kids. Anyways, the irony is that I often call in complaints to the city about houses that look like they belong in a third world country shanty town. Guys who are cooking meth, stuff that is blatantly going on. Grass that is 2 foot tall in an area where we're trying to restore these houses, better the community. And I tell you, I don't hear much regarding those complaints that I file with the city. But here I'm in, the nicer end of town, and there's a complaint about my sign, trying to be neighborly, share my tomatoes, sharing the love. And it's like, you can't do that. We won't allow that. The sign's too big or too colorful. That got me. So, yeah, that's what it is. All right, my tomato rant is over. Sorry that wasn't on mute. Oh, Micah, sweet. Yeah, that dude, my wife's been to India with work stuff. She's going again. She's been there 7 times. I've only been once. I was in Delhi, and we were in a place called Missouri. They call it the Jackson Hole of India. And it's way up in the mountains. It's a lot cooler. Getting up in it, kind of like the foothills of the Himalayas. The elevation is 6,800 feet there where we were in Missouri, India, north of Delhi, quite a ways. But also spent some time in Rishikesh and went whitewater rafting along the Ganges. which was pretty epic, I gotta say. Um, so yeah, we're excited to have our friends over. But India, man, it is a fascinating place. Fascinating. My wife was working with an orphanage there. She does a lot of help, like business strategy, really for nonprofits. And so one of the nonprofits was a boys' home up in Missouri, India. So we had the privilege of going there. We were there. It was me and my wife and my three kids. It was back in April of 17. We were there for the whole month. We were half of the time in Thailand, the other half in India, and just had some really nice experiences, nice memories there. It was great. All right. Well, it's time for me to bid you adieu. Let's see if this is it. Let's do a little recap here. Here's our 5 minute big move up. Come up, just hanging out in the zone. We've been back and forth for a good hour and a half now. Seems like the bulls and bears are just finding value in this area. Came and tried to push lower, couldn't take out this low, put in a higher high up here. It's a bullish enough day to where we could continue the trend. We could just waffle again. Anything can happen. Something will happen. But didn't take a trade today. Just didn't see anything that I had strong conviction about. Today's one of those days where I wouldn't mind, just because I haven't gotten involved, sitting for another hour in front of the screens just in case we get something. But at this point, I'm not going to try to put a square peg into a round hole. If there's nothing to do, there's just nothing to do. So that's just where we're at. Oh, that's cool, Micah. That's neat. Well, before I wrap it up, any other closing thoughts, comments, concerns, criticisms, embellishments? Anyone make 50 points today? I just bought at the open, held it, and here we are. I was in 20 contracts, by the way, too, so I'm up 50K. Any of those stories? If so, pray tell. Just water in my cup. I promise. Just water. All right, let's see if we continue. Anyone got any good plans for the weekend? Anyone do anything fun? So again, it's Friday, right? Last day of the week. It's really important for me on Fridays to trade well, to be very disciplined. It sucks being undisciplined on a Friday, making trades that you had no business making, and then just having to get over that. Now, it's okay to have a losing day on a Friday as long as I followed my process, knew where I was right, knew where I was wrong. I got no problem with that. You're gonna incur losses. It's part of doing business, just like overhead. But there's also been Fridays in the past where you're slinging, wheeling and dealing, making trades, and oh crap, like I'm way down on the day. Those aren't fun to go into the weekend with that having happened. Like along at 26 pre-market on paper. 26. Yeah, the market, looking at, again, here's our overnight action, the gray shaded area. This is a 15-minute chart. So yesterday, tried pushing up, big liquidation break, strong, reclaimed that 37.60, and we did that. Thought there's potential that today could just be really strong. So yeah, came up here. The bulls were having none of it. They just said, nope, if we want to buy it, we want to buy it here, we want to buy it here. They just ran it up. 15-minute chart again, overnight sessions, the gray shaded area. So Yeah, I was looking very, very bullish right there. And then once we got above it, once we came up quite a bit higher, what was just before the news came out, I was looking at all this, saw this big move. I thought, boy, if we get any kind of a retracement, I'd like to buy this thing, thinking that I'd definitely be wrong below the low of the day, which was 31. I would have been looking to buy it, mid 40s even, but or even like high 40s. But we never saw that, and so for me, since that point, regarding risk to reward, I just haven't seen for myself that much more that I'd like to get involved with. So maybe barbecue, cool. All right, y'all. Well, I would say too, and if you want, feel free. If not, it's cool. But any of you guys that are on Facebook, just feel free to friend me on there. My name is Jeff Reeb. Last name is Beer spelled backwards. It's Reeb as in boy. So you'll see me, my wife, I think my 3 kids. It says on there I'm an investment advisor, which I am. I also work for as an advisor for a small firm here in Springfield, Missouri called Oxon Capital. We're more of like a boutique firm, just helping with like plain vanilla retirement and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want, or just message me, like friend me, then message me. It'd be cool to connect. All right, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Have a great day. Trade well. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back. See you soon.